Good morning, everybody. So just some housekeeping here. So if you could keep your mic on mute. We're going to record the webinar and it'll be available for replay, and you'll also get the presentations. Please feel free to introduce yourself and include links to social media profiles, and let us know if you're looking for innovation support or collaboration opportunities, funding or investment. So just make sure you change your name so we know who you are on the tab for your name, and just let us know your name, your company. If you want to share your email address, put it in, and just say what you're looking for from this event. Put also your questions in, and when we get to the workshop sessions in the afternoon, we'll use those. So just a quick overview. So myself and Alex Reed, we're the business development managers for ETP. I handle energy systems, and from next month I'll also be doing hydrogen, and Alex is for zero emissions mobility. So Alex is funded by Transport Scotland. I'm currently funded by a group of partners, but the hydrogen role will be funded from the Scottish Government. We're going to have presentations from John Anderson, who's the ETP Hydrogen Strategic Champion based at Heriot-Watt University, but covering 14 universities. And Irina Bonavino is a hydrogen specialist from Scottish Enterprise, and Sinead Jane will be giving an overview of the Hydrogen Accelerator, and she's based at the University of St Andrews. Alex and I will be going over the ETP funding support, and then we'll go into workshop sessions where you get plenty of time to chat and discuss. And ask the experts, and we're looking for your expressions of interest of what support you would need from us. Okay, so in addition to the above speakers, we'll also have experts from the Scottish European Green Energy Sector, Richard Buxbaum, Jamie Robinson, who's the hydrogen lead from the Scottish Enterprise, Jane Waters from European Enterprise Network, and Katrina Edelman, who's the deputy ETP Hydrogen Strategic Champion. She's based at the University of Edinburgh, but again, covering all of the Scottish universities with hydrogen involved. So we have a lot of partners. So these are the 14 universities of Scotland. So we have 3 representatives here in terms of the partners, but I think we have already in the delegate list someone coming from Aberdeen University as well, and maybe there are a couple of other universities joining us. And again, this is a partnership network. ETP is a partnership network, and we have funding and support from these organizations on the screen there. So pretty much it's covering the whole of Scotland, all the enterprise support agencies. The Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network is something that ETP is supporting, implementing in partnership with Energy Systems Catapult. So again, this is a network to support energy systems integration, the transition to net zero, of which hydrogen is a great part of it. So again, this is another network for your support. So why are we here? So we're basically here to provide you expressions of interest for the ETP Hydrogen Fund and other Scottish, UK and European funding, to meet the experts from technology, academic and funding sides of the innovation ecosystem. We want you to introduce your business to potential collaboration partners and outline what your support needs are, and then basically sign up through here and the links we're going to give to you for support from either Scottish Enterprises organisation, support organisations, Lesson, Hydrogen Accelerator, or from the universities. So we're going to move on to the presentations. You'll first hear from John Anderson, and then Irina Bonavino from Scottish Enterprise, and Sinead, and then Alex and I will come in and give you a quick overview before we go into the session. So I'm just going to stop sharing. And John, if you'd like to pop on your camera and Catriona and take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Very nice. Quite happy to present today. So let me introduce the ETP Hydrogen theme. So I'm the main champion. I'm based in Heriot-Watt University. I'm also serving on the International Energy Agency hardin storage task force, and I'm also on the Nordic Sustainable Hardin working team for Power to X, so Power to Hardin basically. And I'm working, serving on the RSB board for Sustainable PTX as well. So we have both a Nordic and a European angle to the Hardin theme as well. Katriona, I'm not sure if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Thanks, John. Hopefully you can hear me. Oh, sorry. I'm getting feedback here. Sorry. Right, can you hear me okay? Fantastic, sorry about that. So similar to John, I'm working with the ETP team looking at the hydrogen strategic deputy hydrogen strategic champion role. I also am on the International Energy Agency hydrogen storage theme. So John and I are sort of following each other. I'm following John. And then in addition to that, actually, might be important to put in the chat and have a think about is I'm serving on the Westminster Parliamentary Inquiry into Hydrogen and CCS. So we're really looking at ways we can or steps we can take, or steps the government can take to support hydrogen storage and hydrogen industry in general. So if there's anything that you think might help or that you might want added into the kind of inquiry, please put it into the chat so I can add that into the evidence sessions if you've not already given evidence before. So that's me. It's really just an open call to give us suggestions and keep that dialogue going. So thanks, John.
John, I think you're on mute. John, you're
No,
on mute.
I can't. Here you go. As the host didn't allow me to unmute, so I guess they want me to talk quite quickly. Anyways, I'll go through the slides quickly. So, what can Energy Technology Partnership bring along? So, as Natasha was saying, we have 14 independent higher education institutions. I think our strength is that we are spread throughout all of Scotland. So wherever you're located, we can support you locally. And then we also have, as Katriona was saying, a national influence and international influence. So if you're looking for internal support within Scotland, that's great. If you're looking for export and you need some academic assistance there, the ETP Hardin theme is probably the way to go forward if you need academic support. So how is the theme structured? We're looking at Hardin enablers. So personally, I'm doing my research through the Industrial Decarbonisation Research and Innovation Centre, which is a £20 million research centre into how to decarbonise in industry clusters such as Grangemouth. And we're looking at production, different ways of producing, both green through electrolysis, but also blue through SMR. We're looking at distribution and different ways of doing distribution, blending Hardin with natural gas to dedicated Hardin pipeline. And we're doing different systems where we can look at both local and national systems where we can integrate that. And the second theme that we're looking for is Hardin end users. So we're working quite closely with transport, both rail, aviation and maritime, and also heat and power, both domestically and also commercially, to how to decarbonize different industrial centers and clusters. And then industry, where most of the Hardin is used today, and see how we can move from a grey Hardin production into a blue, preferably a green Hardin production, and how to take that forward. And we give academic support for that transition, engineering transition. So what have we done so far? As you can see in the bottom left corner, the publication within Hardin within Scotland is just mushrooming. So we're doing quite well. We have capacity through the different universities, and we have a network of close to 100 academics that are involved in hydrogen research. So whatever your problem is within hydrogen or your opportunity where you need support, just contact the EPT hydrogen team. We probably have an academic that is an expert, he or she is an expert on the field that can help you towards that. And then also I will highlight that the ETP has a knowledge exchange network. So if you're an SME, please do contact the ETP and Natasha in particular and see if you can get some support through the CAN. So what is the opportunities? This graph basically shows how natural gas and crude oil has been reduced. There's a great opportunity to retain the knowledge of the people that are in that industry and move them over to more sustainable industries. And as you can see, wind power is increasing very, very greatly. In fact, Scotland has a potential commercial wind power potential of around 260 million tons of oil equivalent, which is probably around 5 to 6 times that of natural gas production today. So if we can do it correctly, if we can do it right, we can turn up the wind power, turn it into green hydrogen, and have a great sustainable future for Scotland, and also have something we can export. But I think the way forward to do that is to support the SMEs through knowledge transfer from academics, what we're doing through the hydrogen theme, and then build up that baseline that you have. So if you look at the oil and gas industry, they have a very big support network from SMEs, and that's what we need for green hydrogen. How can we do that? And ATP has a great role to do that, and if you can contact us, we can help you doing that. So just to finish off then, I think my 8 minutes are up. If you did need any help, either through analysis, some academic input on a proposal, or any support we can give you, just contact us through Natasha or Katriona or myself directly for that. So thank you for listening. I think it's back to you, Natasha.
Thanks so much, John. That's a really helpful overview. And yes, the offer support is really sincere. Please just contact us. We're here to help. We'll go over now to Irina from Scottish Enterprise, if you wouldn't mind sharing and turning on your camera so we can see you, please.
Yes, sure. Can you hear me okay, Natasha?
Yes, lovely. Thank you, Irina.
Okay, I'll just share my screen.
Thanks, Katriona, as well.
Right, so hello everyone, and thank you to ETP for inviting myself and my colleagues today to speak about Scottish Enterprise and the support that we give both to companies directly and more widely to the hydrogen economy strategy. So a bit about Scottish Enterprise first, in case anyone isn't familiar with us. We're the National Economic Development Agency, which means that we have a mission to grow the Scottish economy in key sectors and create jobs along with other public sector partners. So in 2020, we published a hydrogen assessment, which evaluated that the opportunity for hydrogen was at a scale of between 5 billion and 25 billion pounds over the next few years. So this informed the Scottish Government's policies and strategies, including their draft action plan. And as a result, hydrogen economy is one of our 7 national programs, meaning that we have a lot of resources and funding devoted to projects that involve growing the hydrogen economy. So the enterprise agencies, there's 3 of us. Our Scottish Enterprise covers all of Scotland, so any company can contact us for any support. But there's also Highlands and Islands Enterprise in the north and south of Scotland, Enterprise in the south, in case you would like some more bespoke local regional connections. We can provide introductions to specific networks, companies, build partnerships, and even give advice on sites and locations that you might want to develop your projects in. And so because the hydrogen economy is just beginning to take shape, we know there's a lot of questions from companies and organizations entering the space. So we have commissioned studies related to hydrogen production sites. What is the requirement for ideal production sites, including utilities, land, regulations? And this will be followed later on this year by a study being done by the Scottish Government on regulations that are required to produce hydrogen. We've also done a study on Scot to Germany, what it takes to practically export hydrogen from a Scottish port into Germany, which is one of our key markets. And a press release with a summary version of the report will be published over the next couple of weeks. We're also commissioning studies on the supply chain available in Scotland, which is capable of going into green and blue hydrogen, and also a study on where's the demand for hydrogen locally, nationally within Scotland, so that this is more accessible information to producers. So let us know if you'd like a copy of anything or if you have suggestions of what should go into these future reports as well. Our national overview also extends into the area that perhaps you're most interested in, which is research and innovation. For several years, many organizations have been conducting innovative demonstrations on hydrogen projects within Scotland, including the ETP, of course, including EMEC, which did the High Flyer project and many others, the Accelerator's High Seas 3 ferry project. And so seeing all this to help coordinate all the activities at Scottish level, we've project managed the creation of a body called SHINE very recently, called the Scottish Hydrogen Innovation Network, and all of its members, including ETP, so higher education, technology centers, private companies, innovation parks, they're all working together as members to develop what the body will actually do to promote Scotland's innovation landscape. And as it grows, this will ideally be a single entry point for anyone such as yourselves who are interested in research and development activities. And in line with the idea of bringing people together into the right partnerships, we're also either creating or signposting to interesting events, of which you know there are many events in the hydrogen space, conferences that we participate in, like All Energy recently in Glasgow, and we help organize trade delegations and inward investment visits and delegations into Scotland as well, making connections not just between companies, but also with policymakers. So there's a short list there of some events that you may be interested in. We have a hydrogen brokerage event developed by SOCI on the 30th of June in Dumfries and Galloway, and one by Scottish Enterprise, which will be very similar in Dundee in August. And that is where you can meet producers, supply chain, and users and build connections. And then there's some others as well. And if you want to receive frequent updates on hydrogen events, consider signing up for free to the SHIFCA newsletter, the Scottish Fuel Cell Hydrogen Association. Now moving on to the funding support that we provide a wide range of funding support internally, and we also take a Team Scotland approach, meaning that if we cannot signpost you to the right funding, we can also lead you to another organization for advice. So a couple of teams that we have include FIS and CJEC. They can help you find either innovation funds or European funds. And a couple of my colleagues who are experts in these will be joining us in the workshop later on, Richard Buxbaum and Jane Waters. You can ask them specific questions. The services that we provide are to help you understand the funding landscape, which fund would be right for you. And in that first resource there that you see, that web link, there's even a really handy platform that you can filter depending on what type of fund you're interested in and find it yourself. Or we can also help you build partnerships for collaborative funding bids, and also review your application to make sure that you've written what the funding organization is really looking for. And this is just a sample of the many funds that are out there. Thank you to Richard and Jane for providing this list. There's many funds depending on TRL level, company size, whether you're in a partnership. So these are some that might be interesting for innovation. Next Monday, actually, the Scottish Government is opening its Hydrogen Innovation Fund, which is going to provide £10 million over the next 4 years for feasibility, testing, and demonstration in hydrogen. And ETF is kindly coordinating a webinar in the next week after that to explain all the criteria. Then the next two you've probably heard of, there's the UK's Net Zero Hydrogen Funds, and one of them for DevEx, feasibility studies, etc., is closing this week. And the second strand is for CapEx for green production projects that will be operational by 2025. So these are perhaps larger projects than the ones you're involved in, but it's still good to be aware that there is CapEx and even revenue funding coming up later this year for big development projects. Then the next four are slightly less specific to hydrogen, but for example, if you're doing industrial fuel switching towards hydrogen, There's the Industrial Hydrogen Accelerator. If your hydrogen technology is relevant to clean maritime technology, there's that demonstration competition for demonstration and pre-deployment testing. And the Fast Start Innovation Fund, there's a really small window where it's opening in July, but it will give between 25,000 and 50,000 pounds for micro businesses and SMEs if you're doing work towards net zero and other topics. And the section at the bottom there is for international funding. So we are still able to apply for European funding, such as the Green Offshore Tech Call, which can give up to 60,000 pounds to SMEs to produce new products for offshore sectors like oil and gas, wind, water transport. And this includes new energy carriers and other topics relevant to hydrogen. Then Eureka Zero Stars is even a little larger. It provides up to 360,000 pounds for SMEs who are willing to work with European partners in projects that have high market potential. And the EIC Accelerator is larger still. It can provide up to 2.5 million pounds, and it's a very broad range of topics. So if you're interested in any of these, we're very happy to give you a bit more explanation during the workshop and happy to take any questions and for you to contact us directly. And Natasha can share our contact details later on. Thanks, Natasha, back to you.
Hi there. Thanks so much, Irina. Just realizing that a few people are having problems getting into the Zoom link that's saying not for authorized people. So there might be a few people that are struggling to get in. So we're just trying to give sort of a offline support for those. So there's some people, Jane in particular is having trouble, Jane Waters from EEN. So we're just trying to support that people to get in. For some reason, it's been a bit tricky. So that might be why we're missing a few key people that we thought would be here just now. So we're going to move on just now to Sneh. Sneh, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and also putting your video on. Thank you. Okay, Jane's just managed to come through. So there we have Jane Waters now, who'll be there available for support in the session. You there, Sneh? We can't hear you.
I am, but I just, sorry, 2 seconds. Let me just.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, can see your screen, just not you.
I should have appeared. There we go. Okay. So good morning. I'm Sneh Jan from the Hydrogen Accelerator. I'm the operations manager. And yeah, just to kind of give you a brief overview. So as we're all aware, Scotland has very ambitious decarbonisation targets with an aim to hit net zero by 2045. And to this end, the Hydrogen Accelerator, which is funded through Transport Scotland, has a role to help organisations across Scotland realise a hydrogen future. This is through provision of expertise, through support and mentoring. And this allows the creation of new opportunities across Scotland. And the Hydrogen Accelerator's roles are fourfold: to assess technology, to help with engineering optimisation and standardisation, matchmaking and outreach and communication. We're based at the University of St Andrews at our new Eden campus, and we work very closely with the University of Strathclyde, particularly our colleagues at PNDC, and support stakeholders in the academic sector, public sector and industry to create and support opportunities. So our activities span across across identifying Scottish supply chain opportunities, sharing and learning from experience already gained from hydrogen projects, identifying overlaps in existing projects, developing risk management strategies for upcoming hydrogen projects, and to promote health and safety, again for hydrogen initiatives, and identify funding to support future projects. A parallel strand of the work that we're doing is funded through the Low Carbon Challenge Fund, and the project itself is called Translating Hydrogen into Action, and this is aimed specifically at supporting Scottish SMEs. Again, we're working in partnership with the University of Strathclyde to deliver this. The main components of this programme is to help SMEs develop solutions for technology challenges, to develop and grow within the sector by identifying opportunities, and to support knowledge exchange through, for example, our Industry Club programme. Later in the summer, we'll be opening new facilities at Eden Campus for SMEs, so laboratory facilities for material development, which I'd be really happy to talk to you about if the opportunity is of interest to you. It's free for Scottish SMEs to access and use this facility. So that leaves me to just sort of say this is our team. Fiona, Martin and Fernando deliver the project from the University of St Andrews, and Priya is leading the activity at the University of Strathclyde. And last but not least, here's our contact details if you'd like to speak to us further about opportunities. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sneh. And sorry, I left my mic on. You probably heard the bin men coming to collect the glass. It's quite noisy here. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to go on to the next part. Thanks for the overview. So again, the Hydrogen Accelerator works. We're a partnership with ETP. We work together to support innovators. I'm just going to give you an overview of how ET supports, and also the new hydrogen fund. So most people know ETP already, but just a quick run through. So basically, ETP is an alliance of 14 Scottish universities, all of the energy expertise and facilities in Scotland. So we represent that. Within that, there are funded programs, one of which is the Knowledge Exchange Network. And we're here to support the implementation of the energy strategy for Scottish Government, and support SMEs to collaborate with academia and have access to facilities, and basically sort of handhold the innovation journey, and help navigate the funding landscape. So we have some funding, and again, this is through partnership funding, and the fund is a small, around 10k, which goes to the academic part, and the SMEs provide around 30% in-kind support. But this is for early stage or adaptations to process products or services for low carbon innovation. We also have an industry doctorate studentship. The date for the next round for these studentships is closing on the 30th of November. So again, you can find out all about that on the ETP website, or contact us directly about it. But again, that's funded by the Scottish Government, and it's to support the implementation of the Scottish Energy Strategy. There are other funding that's been highlighted already, but basically contact us and we try and help you move forward with your innovation and navigate the funding landscape and have access to specialist support. So there are various levels of innovation funding and support. ETP's down the lower end here, but you could have an existing service or product or process and you want to adapt that. So again, come to us for that as well. So ETP covers pretty much the whole of the energy sort of themes or categories, and we're focusing just now on hydrogen, but Alex Reed covers the zero emission mobility. There's a lot of crossover there, and many other themes. So for this purpose of this webinar, we're sort of covering hydrogen in the widest possible context. From the hydrogen assessment report from the Scottish Government, you can see sort of here like an example hydrogen energy system. There are many sort of ways of producing hydrogen, many ways of using that, and then the endpoints or off-takers of transport or export, chemical feedstock, domestic heating, power generation, all sorts of areas here. And so at this stage, we're covering anything or everything. Just talk to us and we'll try and work out if we can fund and support that in any way, shape or form. So the key thrust here is to help to see how hydrogen can help make a sustainable hydrogen economy in Scotland and for export. and it's covering everything. We're looking at supply chain, we're looking at export, we're looking at multiple sectors, a range of hydrogen vectors, market development, internationalization, all sorts of things, and we'll need to support that in a variety of ways. So we want everything yesterday, we want everything to happen right now, and there's still a lot of chicken and egg scenarios here that we need to grapple with. But basically, there's political will, there's funding, and we'll do our best to help make things happen. So the opportunities for hydrogen as sort of net zero transition enabler are in these areas which I've mentioned. So zero emissions mobility, transport, storage, power, technology, systems, standards, chemical pieces, all of these different areas. So if you have any ideas or there are particular challenges, let us know about it and let us help you help us build this hydrogen economy. So I'm just going to bring, before we go into here, I'll just have to bring in Alex. Alex, if you wouldn't mind just giving a little overview of your role as zero emissions mobility and the kind of opportunities that you've already been working with.
Yeah, excuse me. Thank you, Natasha, and good morning, everyone. So the Zero Emission Mobility Programme, or FEMA ETP, it's funded by Transport Scotland, similar to Sinead when she was talking about the Hydrogen Accelerator. The programme started about a year ago, and that's the length of time I've been in the role for. And similar to other ETP energy themes, the objectives are very much about knowledge exchange, knowledge transfer between the academic community and SMEs. In terms of support that is offered through the ZEM programme, we have an open fund, which again, similar to other ETP themes, offers funding up to 10k for knowledge exchange projects related to zero emissions mobility. And just to put a bit more colour around what that actually means in sort of practical terms, when we talk about zero emissions mobility, it covers a number of different areas. That, of course, includes low emission, low carbon fuels, including hydrogen, but we also look at other areas, including electric vehicles, electrification of vehicles, including batteries, including components and subcomponents as well. So there's a range of different areas that we can support in, depending on what your particular innovation happens to be. And again, just similar to other ETP energy themes, outside of the direct funding, my role is also just helping in terms of a lot of brokerage connections for those businesses that are seeking connections either into academia or into industry as well. And again, also helping in terms of funding support for other funding schemes. So again, similar to what Scottish Enterprise can provide, but I guess the slight difference is that my focus is on all things related to mobility and transport. So if that's the area you happen to be operating in, then I'm very much there and sort of willing to support you. So that's summary, Natasha.
Thanks so much, Alex.